welcome to What Pet Should I Get? My name is Julia Batchelor. We have an excellent program for you today. Donna Cox is back from North Toronto Cat Rescue. And later on in the program, Tamara Arnu will be here from Dogtails Rescue and Sanctuary. And up first, we have the lovely Emily Jordan visiting us from the Ontario SPCA with an adorable cat named Bobbers, which I assume means he likes to fish.
Maybe.
Now, before we get talking about Bobbers, last week, Callie was on, and she brought the cutest little, I assume he would be a Chihuahua, long-haired Chihuahua, named Gremlin. Mm-hmm. Can we remind everybody how adorable? Look at that face.
It's so cute.
Now, he had just gone through a little bit of dental surgery and was not quite ready for adoption. So what's the update on him?
So he has been adopted now. He went home the same day we put him up for adoption. It was kind of the perfect thing. A lady came in and she didn't even know what dogs we had. And as soon as I said we had a Chihuahua, she's like, that's what I've been looking for. And she didn't even care that he was 10 years old. Like, that's what she wanted. So it was perfect.
I love it. I love it when people, adopt older pets because sometimes they get overlooked. Yeah. But there's, a well-kept dog and smaller breeds too. They have a very long life.
Yeah, they do live quite a bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, if you keep your dog in great health, they can live up to 20 years.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. Spring. It's finally sprung.
I hope so.
Yeah, I know. Let's hope the weather cooperates with what the official season that it is. But of course, with spring comes some changes that some cautions and hazards that we may need to be aware of when it comes to our pets. I guess one of the key things is that I thought about indoors. So Easter's around the corner. And there's some of the things that can be toxic to your animals that are indoors, correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, definitely chocolate is a lot of things that comes about at Easter time, and it's toxic to dogs, and it's not good for cats either. So you want to keep that away from your pets for sure. Another thing is a lot of people in their Easter baskets might put that kind of tinsely stuff.
Yeah, I think it has a very strange name. I can't remember it at the moment.
I don't know. But I know my cat would love to eat that. Like a lot of
That's
cats,
an intestinal nightmare.
Yeah, it would not go well, and you don't want your cat to get like impactions in their intestines because they need surgery sometimes to remove the blockage, so it's really serious.
And of course, Easter lilies, which people like to decorate their house with at Easter, and if a cat eats those, now is it equally toxic to a dog or is it more so for cats?
I think I've heard of it more for cats.
More for cats. But they're more likely to eat plants over dogs anyway.
Yeah, that's probably true as well.
Yeah.
And tulips as well, which I didn't really realize are also not good for pets either. And even the bulbs, like if you have them in your yard, apparently they smell really good to animals, and so they want to eat them, but they also can be toxic. So you want to watch out for stuff like that.
So that's indoors. Now, obviously with the weather getting nicer, we're taking our animals outdoors. I mean, people like to let their cats out to wander in their backyards or take their dogs for walks. So there's some things that you have to keep in mind as well. I mean, one of the things I didn't even really think about was, with you taking your dog out for, everybody's taking their dogs out for walks, so, or even having your cats out, face-to-face encounters.
Yeah, so even not only with other people walking their pets, but also at this time of year, a lot of wildlife are having their babies, so you want to watch out for other animals that might be out now that weren't out in the winter time. But definitely when you're going on walks, other people and their dogs, I mean, it's always a good idea to have your dog on leash so that you're not getting into any issues with other people walking theirs. Cats going outside, a lot of mice carry fleas, so you want to make sure your cats and your dogs as well are protected against fleas because they're going to start becoming more prevalent at this time of year. And mice can also carry certain types of worms which can be transported to your cats, and your dogs can pick up those as well, so that's another thing to be checking for at this time of year.
So is this the time, though, to do the flea and tick treatment?
Yeah, even, it's becoming more prevalent all through the year, fleas, because it's not getting quite as cold, although the last couple of days were pretty cold.
Yes.
But
climate change, people.
Yeah. So fleas are kind of surviving year-round, so it's not even a bad idea to always have them protected against fleas.
And the thing you were mentioning earlier, too, about tulips eating the bulbs, it seems like all the early spring flowers, tulips, crocuses, lily of the valley, I think there was a couple other ones that I had listed down. They all seem to be daffodils, that they all can be toxic to your pets. So, if you have an early spring garden, you may not actually want to have your cat out there at all, or if your dog's out there, be supervised, right?
Yeah, I know going back to in the house, we had lilies once. Someone had given it to us and I put it up on a high shelf thinking my cat wouldn't get up there and eat
Cats
it.
can't jump.
Yeah, yeah. Silly me. And yeah, the next morning he had pollen all over his face and of course I panicked, but he ended up being fine. But you know, even if you think, it's just better not to have them in your house at all.
You know, going back to you're saying about chocolate being toxic to dogs and not good for cats. What should you do if you've seen that, like you see chocolate and you think that your dog or cat's been ingested? What should you look for? Diarrhea?
It can be, I would just, if you think they've eaten it, I would kind of take them right to the vet or right to the emergency because it can be really quickly that it becomes fatal. So you'd want to get them help right away.
Okay. So one thing before we get to bobbers, because I don't want to run out of time, another thing that we really need to think about, especially with melting snow, there's always the joy of the things that get uncovered when the snow melts. And the two key things are poop and garbage.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of stuff. You obviously don't want your pet getting into garbage or getting into poop, and there's going to be a lot of that around as the snow melts.
Yeah.
Another thing too is even like bird seed or stuff like that, because it's going to start to rot underneath the snow as it melts, and you don't want your animal eating that, and it's going to probably seem appealing to them, but it's going to end up with an upset stomach.
You know what? That's good, because actually I have a bird feeder, and the base of our bird feeder it's filled with old seeds and something to keep in mind. Now we're down to about 2 minutes left, so I want to talk about Bobbers. So he's a cutie.
Yeah, so Bobbers, he came in to us. Someone had taken him in from their neighbor who couldn't look after them. I don't know if they moved or what the case was, but he ended up not getting along with their other pets. So he's probably a cat that's better suited to kind of a single pet family. But he's got lots of personality. He's very confident and active. He does get a little...
He's green, right?
He's green, yeah.
Yes.
So he does get a little overstimulated sometimes. So I think he'd be fine with young kids, but they just have to know sometimes, you know, just kind of let him cool down a little bit.
Yeah, and there's good signs to watch for too when you know your cat's getting overstimulated.
Yeah, like tail flicks.
The tail flick. Yeah, when you see that tail doing that little whiplash flick, that means just walk away, let him or her have their alone time, right? Yeah.
But he's a very loving cat and loves. He's a little nervous right now, but at the shelter I had him picked up and I was kind of holding him like a baby, and he was just snuggling into my lap. So
and
he's
he's
very
beautiful. And obviously, being a medium hair, you have to make sure that you consider,
brushing.
take care of, because you do not want cats getting mats in them, because that's a pain in the butt, right? And I imagine that
he was pretty good. He doesn't have any.
Yeah, he looks like he's been well cared for.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in adopting Bobbers, obviously he's available at the Ontario SPCA. And before we go, I just want to remind everybody, till the end of the month, it's your Fix Your Pet Month.
Yes.
Fix Your Pet Month, correct?
Yes. And you can enter our contest on Twitter or Instagram, and it's hashtag
Cone of Fame.
Cone of Fame, that's it.
That's it. Okay, so if you're interested in adopting Bobbers, you want to learn more about Fix Your Pet Month, or you want to post a picture with your cat or dog wearing a cone for the Cone of Fame, all the details are on our website. Thanks so much, Emily, and we'll see you on the other side of the break. Hello and welcome back. Joining me now is Donna Cox from the North Toronto Cat Rescue. I am so pleased to have you back on the show. It's been a while since I've seen you.
It's been quite some time, and thank you for having us. We enjoy your show. We love to come and do it with you.
Now, the last time that you were on, for our viewers, we know that the North Toronto Cat Rescue, the location that you're at, you have to move.
Yes.
So we have been, I think it's been a year that we've been looking for a new location, donations, financial donations, a building.
Yes.
What's happening?
Well, hopefully we're going to be able to move on in June. We have a place that we can go. We're just working on a bylaw to allow us to be there. So we have a bit of security that way. But again, the bylaw needs to be changed to help us operate this facility. But we have been in Markham for 28 years. So hopefully we can move on and continue this work.
Well, you have also a great network of volunteers. So the location being in this part of York Region is important to you, because it's beneficial for the volunteers because it's close for them.
That's absolutely true. Yes.
And I imagine too, because you really specialize in rescuing cats that are living on the street, that you have areas that you know well.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely. And we, to this point, have taken over 3,000 off the streets and given them back a life.
Amazing.
We're not a release group, so when they come in, no matter what their demeanor is, they don't go back out.
Well, and I know we've said conversations that you and I have had in the past. Cats living outdoors, they can become a little feral, but with time, I mean, maybe you'll never get the cat that's going to cuddle up under the blankets with you in bed, but a cat really prefers to be indoors. So even those feral cats with time and patience are going to become indoor house cats.
Absolutely. We do have cat dens out in the back of our facility, and on a nice warm day, they don't even go out. These are the street cats that won't venture back out again. So it speaks volumes for that.
Yeah, I know what's like, prefer living in a bush or living in a house with heat and water and
food,
toys and
and food.
And not having to fight with any other animal for protection, of course.
Hey, you know, it's remarkable because they all live harmoniously. You've been to our shelter,
have.
and you can attest to that.
Yep.
They run free, they're not in cages, and they live harmoniously.
And each room has, what would you say, up to how many cats?
Depending on the size of the room, though, there are larger rooms which may house 25 cats. There are smaller rooms. So we have to just keep our balance, and that depends on the size of the cats and their demeanor, but they do get along.
Well, I imagine, too, with you moving, that that's also going to factor in for how many cats that you can take in at the moment until you're settled in your new location.
Absolutely.
But
yes.
of course, you're still looking for, I mean, the deed isn't done yet, so you're still in your old location, but we still need money.
Absolutely.
Always need money when you're running a cat rescue as a nonprofit.
Yes.
There's a very exciting event that's coming up that's already started. I imagine that some of the viewers out there may know about this amazing Guinness Book of World Records attempt, 16 days, 24 hours of music, and all the money raised is going to charities. And one of the amazing charities is North Toronto Cat Rescue. And your day that all the proceeds is going to be on what day?
March 25th. Saturday, March 25th is our day. But there are 15 other amazing charities that this group is representing. And it's quite a feat in a short time to put this together. We're really excited. And hopefully people come out and enjoy the music.
And so from as soon as the clock strikes midnight, 12:01, every dollar that's raised, is it through, and how does it work? Like, is it through the door sales? Is it through what's being sold?
Well, it will be all sorts of things. Through the door sales, yes. In each particular day, however, they are not featuring, the charity that's featured does not receive that amount of money. It's going into a pot and being divided, and that's sort of the fair way of doing it.
Because I know March 25th, the day that all proceeds are going to North Toronto Cat Rescue, is a Saturday. Saturday's obviously going to be a much busier day for a bar than a Sunday night at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And it's less bookkeeping for them. It would be horrendous to try to sort this out, I think, in a particular charity every day, and the receipts. And you can also, we're able to have raffles and things like that going on. Each charity can do that on their own while at that day they have. And so, we'll be doing all kinds of things that day. We're really excited.
You're going to be there on location?
Definitely. You
Are
betcha.
you going to be bringing any cats? But they might not like the noise.
No, I think it would be a little noisy, a little stressful, and but we have lots of cats, and here's one of them, of course.
Before we talk about, this is Van Gogh, who is, we got to get a close-up on his face, but before, I just want to mention that for people who are interested in this, being part of this Guinness Book World Records attempt,
it's huge.
Just to be there to say that you were, for one of the days, every dollar going to charity. It's at the Earl of Whitchurch Pub, 6204 Main Street, Stouffville. We'll make sure there's a link on our website so you can get details, but please go out, support it. It's helping North Toronto Cat Rescue. It's helping Gord Downey's foundation.
Yes.
So many great causes. And, I mean, what a fun night out, right?
It definitely is, and it runs 24/7.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I hope it goes well. It's going to be so cool.
I hope so. Our volunteers, too, as we mentioned before we talk about Van Gogh, is certainly a big one for us. It is totally run by volunteers. They're our backbone. We're always looking for the help at the shelter.
Volunteers are definitely the backbone, I think, of most rescue organizations, because you guys are doing this all out of the goodness of your heart. Especially you. You founded this organization, been doing this for over 30 years.
Well,
you're an
close
incredible
to 30.
lady.
A long time, but there's still lots of work to do, and that's why we want to continue with our move and be able to move, and there's lots of stray cats out there that need some help.
Well, let's find a home for one that's here right now. This is Van Gogh, and he has heterochromia. Am I saying that correctly? Basically, he has 2 different colored eyes. Van Gogh, you need to look at the camera so people can see your beautiful, beautiful blue and green
Handsome.
eyes. So he is a Turkish van.
Yes, correct.
So where did Van Gogh come from?
He actually was a stray. He was found, put in a pound. They couldn't find an owner. And through that, we took him because days are limited in pounds. And we pull quite regularly from certain areas. When their time is getting close, we take them out.
And how long has he been with you?
About 2 weeks.
Okay, so
Tops.
Now he, I would say, as special needs cats, he has
FIV.
FIV, which is feline. What's the acronym for?
I can't.
It's
the same as HIV in
yeah, it's
people.
equivalent to HIV.
And F is feline, H is human.
Yeah.
So the virus, the V is a virus.
But the cat itself, though, even though he has this illness, does it affect his health in any way
No.
where you have to give him medication or?
Nothing. It just means he carries the virus.
Yeah.
And the virus is only spread by a penetrating bite from a cat to a cat. It does not jump species. It's not really something to be concerned about if you have a cat like this in your household. Should a cat like this bite a dog, it does not jump species.
Okay.
That's so important for people to understand.
So Van Gogh is an excellent cat for anybody. If you have another cat in the house, or perhaps if you're looking for a single cat, he's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Donna, for being on the show. Please mark on your calendar March 25th at the Earl of Whitchurch Pub. And we'll see you next time, and we'll see you on the other side of the break.
Okay.
Welcome back. Joining me now is Tamara Arnu from Dogtails Rescue and Sanctuary, and she has brought an adorable little guy named Sammy, who is all the way from Israel. But before we talk about Sammy, I always like an update on our dogs that we're visiting. Last week, Claire brought Guinness, and I think his name should be Howling Wolf because he was a very vocal dog. Look at that face. I just love your photographer.
Yeah, Jen is amazing. She's from Gotcha Studios in York region.
You know, we were talking before the show started too about how difficult it is to photograph animals because they don't cooperate that much. But she is just, there's a talent right there. What's going on with Guinness?
So we've had a little bit of interest in Guinness this week, which is really exciting. We've had a couple of families come to visit him, so we're just in the process now of meeting with them again and sort of seeing where that leads. With Guinness, we'd want the families to come a couple of times just so that they're familiar before we send him home.
Well, he had a little bit of anxiety, right?
Yeah, correct.
And I know that, I think Claire was saying he's one of the dogs that they really want to find him a home as soon as possible because certain dogs, although Dogtails is an amazing, beautiful facility, it's still, there's a lot of dogs there, and some dogs just don't do as well. They need a quieter, calmer kind of place to be, right? And I know when he was on our show, he had a little bit of anxiety, but you could see he just needed that time.
Yes.
So I think our segments were about 8 minutes. After 4 minutes, he was calm, and by the end of the show, he was passed out on the carpet.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like him. No, it's true. I mean, the shelter environment, as beautiful as it is and as fortunate as we are to have a shelter like ours, we know that there's nothing that compares to a home. And for a lot of these dogs, that's really where we see them flourish and come into their own.
Yeah. Well, speaking of animals, dogs in particular, that really do well and are looking for they would do much better in a home. We have Sammy.
Yeah.
So talk to us about Sammy.
So Sammy came to us from Israel. We think that he's maybe a Dachshund mix, but he's 8 years old, if you can believe it. He seems very puppy-like.
Yeah.
And he has a great deal of energy. I mean, as soon as he thinks that he's going for a walk or going into the car, then
said
he's
the W word.
ready to go.
He also does this. Let's see if we can get him to do it. He does. Look at his head. Look at that. That is adorable.
So Sammy's been quite stressed out in our shelter environment since he's arrived. We've had him staying in our vet tech office, and he's gone home with a couple of our dog handlers overnight, just so that he can have a little bit of a break from the commotion. So we'd really like to find him a home as soon as possible. He loves people more than anything, so we'd like to find someone that's home quite a bit, and that way they can spend that time with him, because he's really always looking for that bond. And I mean, he's great with other dogs. He's a little bit of a ladies' man, so he'd prefer, I think, a female fur sibling. But with kids, he would be great. He'd be just an amazing family dog. I always say he reminds me of like a little bit like a butler or something, so I think he'd be great.
He reminds me of a butler.
Yeah.
So is he trained in any way?
He knows like some basic commands like sit and that sort of thing. House training, as with all of our dogs, we always say it's a little bit of a learning curve,
Yep.
but it's something that they pick up on really quickly.
You know, even if I have 3 cats, and even my older cats, every once in a while, maybe it's behavioral, whatever reason, they know how to use the litter box, but sometimes they're like, not going to do it. I'm just going to go here just because.
Yeah,
right. And if you know, as all animal lovers know, these are the things that you deal with. It's fur, it's poop, it's all those things, and it's just part and parcel of having a dog. It's like having little children. Right?
Exactly, yes. And we always say, you know, as long as you're throwing a party for them every time they're going outside and doing things that you're like, okay, this is on a good path, then usually they pick it up really quickly, and it's something to be celebrated for sure.
And how long has Sammy been living with at Dogtails?
So he hasn't been with us very long at all, just for about 3 weeks now. So with all of our dogs, we keep them for a couple of weeks just so that they
Health
have
reasons.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and so that they can have a cooling off period and we can sort of see the real them. But we'd love for him to go to a home sort of as quickly as we can
Yeah.
find a right match for him, just so that way his stress, he can sort of start to unwind and really have his personality come out.
Yeah, Sammy, you got to make sure you keep your face to camera so everybody can see your adorable face. Okay? All right. Yeah. So you say he's good. He's good with other dogs. He's good with children.
Yeah.
So I've heard this term thrown around. It's called the unicorn of dogs, meaning
Yes.
that they're a perfect dog.
Yeah.
Would you say is he a unicorn?
I would say that Sammy's definitely a unicorn, and I mean like with a tail like that,
Oh,
it's like
he's
a unicorn
gorgeous.
mane. So, yeah, no, he's an amazing dog, and whoever gets him, I think, is going to be a really, truly lucky family.
Well, that's awesome. So we always talk about how amazing Dogtails is. And you know what I think is amazing? So for people who are looking for a job out there and love animals, Dogtails is hiring.
Yes, we are. We're growing our team. So right now we're looking for dog handlers, we're looking for an animal care attendant, and we're looking for cleaners as well. So our kennel staff, which is one of the most important roles that we have.
Yep.
And I mean, really, the thing that we look for above all else is having a passion for animals and for what we do. And it's a great way, like if that's what you're looking for, to really directly make an impact in the lives of so many of our animals. So definitely, if you're interested in joining our team, we would encourage people to apply and to come for a visit.
So for the people who, like for the dog handlers, are you looking for people obviously with experience?
Yes, definitely.
Are you looking for people who have diplomas and degrees like vet technicians? Do you want somebody who has a bit of a medical background to join your team as well?
Yeah, I mean, we look for a variety of different backgrounds. All of our handlers come from different experiences. So some have worked very closely with trainers. Others have like an animal care certificate or something in the veterinary field. But I mean, really, the best way for us to see where you might be the best fit for us is just to come out, and then what we usually do is have like sort of a couple hours where we spend introducing people to our kennel and what we do, and then they can determine where the best fit for them might be.
Well, anybody who knows that, you know, when you work with animals, it's not just a job.
No.
It's a passion. It's a life's passion. I know when I asked Claire, I'm like, oh, are you going to have the weekend off? She's like, no. You know, but even she's like, but it's not work for me.
Yeah.
I'm always at Dogtails doing what I do, and I love what I do, but it's not work. And I mean, that's an incredible thing to find when it comes to a job, like where a job that doesn't really feel like a job.
For sure. It's, you know what, honestly, I think for all of us that are there, it's the place that's closest to our hearts, and
Yeah.
it's really such a special experience that we couldn't have otherwise. So it really is like a second home for most of us in that sense, and it never feels like work. I mean, how could it? We're surrounded by guys like this, so.
Well, and Sammy is a super awesome dog that needs to move on from Dogtails because he's just going to flourish even more. I mean, this personality is awesome. Can you imagine what he's going to be like when he finds his forever family? It's going to be incredible, right? Yeah, that's right, buddy. So if you're interested in visiting Dogtails, I would say please go out to the shelter. They're open to the public every Sunday from 11 till 5. And, you know, you can visit with Sammy, or you may see another dog that hasn't been featured on the show that catches your eye. And it would be such a wonderful experience to help, you know, take a dog out of the shelter so you guys can continue what you're doing, which is bringing more dogs in.
Yes.
Right? Do you have any dogs, quickly before we have to wrap up, do you have any more dogs coming in shortly?
In the next little while, we try and do intake every couple of weeks. As soon as we have rooms open up, then we have dogs arriving to us. So shortly we'll have more joining us.
All right, thank you so much, Tamara. Thank you for watching What Pet Should I Get? We'll see you all next time. What's that noise, buddy?